Okay, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here. Some real talk about ATV mud tires. It doesn't matter what type or brand of tire you have. What really matters is how tall they are. That's it. Now, I've been seriously riding mud and extreme off-trail terrain for a solid 5 years now. I've tried and I've researched several different types of mud tires. And I've also rode with many other people who have tried a variety of mud tires. They all have their pluses and minuses. But what it really boils down to, when you get in serious stuff with serious machines, the tires themselves, they don't really make that much of a difference. In certain situations they do, but it's just for certain situations and they make a minute amount of difference. It really boils down to how tall they are so your machine doesn't get bottomed out or high centered. Those are a couple of terms that get used. That's really what it boils down to. So let's break this down. This here is your ATV. Not really sure what kind of ATV that is. We'll just pretend it's an ATV. Tires, this is your tires here. This is the ground. And when in that center of that rut, your machine that weighs 1,000 pounds, like a Renegade, or 600 or 700 like something smaller, if it's completely sitting on this rut and your tires aren't touching anything, you're not going anywhere. You've got to do something to manipulate that. The easiest thing to beat this situation is this. Bigger friggin' tires, buds. They can touch the bottom, use their lugs. Whatever frickin' tire brand you think's the best, if they're big enough, they'll get you through. And that's all I gotta say about it. So here's something that's been burning inside of me for the last little while. Now, I've been doing social media stuff for a few years now, and what people say doesn't bother me. But I'm gonna use a sports analogy here. Have you ever heard of the term armchair quarterback? If you don't know, it's people that watch stuff on TV and then they talk about, well, you should have done this or you should have done that, blah, 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 I would have done this. Well, it happens in the ATV world as well. People make comments when they're watching a YouTube video or Instagram Reels or whatever type of platform, and they say, well, if I would have took my machine with my blah, blah, blah tires on that, I would have made it through that, no problem. Well, guess what? If you're not there in the situation, you shouldn't comment because you don't know. And you know why? Because there's so many different factors at play. All right, let me reference something that actually happened in the real world with me. I went into a mud hole that I've been in several times, and I've completed it. It's not easy, but I completed it without any assistance with 2 different sets of tires, 2 different brands, but I got through it. It's deep, it's got some deep sections, it's got a lot of mud in it, but right now it's fall, and this past spring, I know that people went through, there's YouTube video evidence of people with 34-inch tires going through this hole and making it through. And what they've now done, it's been dug out so much, it's much more difficult. There was water in the hole, but not at the same level as in the springtime. And the time of year is important, especially where I ride around here. The mud park, as we'll call it, it doesn't get a lot of use. And what happens is, between the spring and then the summer and then the fall, depending on the rainfall we get, people don't drive these holes that much. And all the mud settles. It gets thick and it gets thicker and it settles. And even in this case, there's vegetation growing all over the place. So let's say there's 3 factors that affect this mud hole. 1, it hasn't been used in a long time. 2, the resistance of the mud. 3, the resistance of all the extra material that's growing in there. It's a recipe for not making it through.
Wow. Oh my God.
Now, here's the thing. I know if there's a mud hole that's too deep for me or the mud is super thick and it's peanut butter, the chances are you're not gonna make it. But sometimes for me, it's just a challenge to see if I can do it. But in this case, I thought I had a 50-50 chance. But you know what? It was tough. I used all my techniques I could use, and eventually my buddies jumped in and helped push me across, and I still had to winch out of the thing. It was tough. But here's the thing. If I had 36-inch tires on, I would have walked right through the thing. Sure, a 300 Honda with big tires on it, yep, it would have walked through it no problem. Well, I shouldn't say no problem, but it would have done it.
Dig, baby. Come on, baby.
So let's talk about tire design. There's a few different factors. One is the size of the lug. A huge lug like an Assassinator, or the design of the lug. A little bit smaller, something like an Aztec or a Silverback. And another factor is the direction of the pattern. Are they a forward direction or are they a reverse direction? And one final thing about tire design is the spacing between the lugs. The bigger the spacing, the more the tire will be allowed to clear the mud and debris out of it once you get the tire moving. All these things, the direction and the pattern, you know, they're very subjective, but once you run out of ground clearance and your machine is suctioned to a rut, you're done. I don't care what tire it is. So basically there's two ways to get through a mud hole that's got deep ruts in it. One, speed. You use momentum to just slide right over top of the rut and power through. Two, using mechanical advantage. It's not so much the power of the machine, it's using mechanical advantage. Especially when you've got something like a Honda, where you can have extra low gearing so that you can overcome mechanically the friction of the mud. And two, you can use something like a Portal that has gear reductions built in so that you can, again, have a mechanical advantage to turn the tires. But if the belly of your machine is stuck on the rut and none of the tires are touching anything, you're done. Fact of the matter is, you're done. Plain, simple, that's it. So I've been seriously riding in the mud for a good 5 years now. But people that have been doing it a long time can remember a time when 30-inch tires, they were the magic size. They were the be-all, end-all. Now, you're pretty much looking at 34s or bigger. Where's it gonna end? If you got any comments about what tires you think are the best or the baddest, or do you agree with me that having the biggest tires is gonna make the biggest difference? Leave me a comment, I'd appreciate it. But I'll leave you with this. Having bigger and bigger tires, yeah, you're gonna make it through that one hole that nobody else does, but how much fun is it if it friggin' tips over on you real easy? There's a give and take. There really is. So if you want to see some different tires in action, why don't you check out this video right here. You'll enjoy it. See you in the next one. Peace.